The KGB, Komitet Gosudarstvennoy Bezopasnosti, or Committee for State Security, was the main security agency for the Soviet Union from 1954 until its dissolution in 1991. It was the Soviet Union's premier security, intelligence, and secret police organization, playing a central role in both domestic security and foreign espionage. The KGB became one of the most powerful and feared institutions of the Cold War era. Origins and formation. The KGB was established on March 13, 1954, as the successor to earlier Soviet security organizations, including the Cheka, OPU, NKVD, and MGB. These predecessors had been involved in everything from suppressing internal dissent to conducting intelligence operations abroad. The KGB inherited these functions and became the Soviet Union's primary tool for maintaining state security. Structure and functions. The KGB was divided into several directorates, each responsible for different aspects of its operations. First Chief Directorate handled foreign intelligence operations, including espionage, counterintelligence, and influence operations. This directorate was responsible for gathering intelligence abroad and infiltrating foreign governments and organizations. Second Chief Directorate focused on internal security, including counterintelligence within the Soviet Union, monitoring the population, and suppressing dissent. This directorate was instrumental in controlling and surveilling Soviet citizens, as well as preventing and investigating internal threats. Third Chief Directorate overseen military counterintelligence, ensuring loyalty within the Soviet armed forces and monitoring military personnel for any signs of disloyalty or espionage. Fifth Chief Directorate dealt with ideological subversion, monitoring cultural activities, intellectuals, and the media to prevent anti-Soviet sentiments. This directorate played a key role in censorship and the suppression of political dissidents. Seventh Directorate responsible for surveillance, tracking individuals considered to be threats to the state, including both foreign spies and domestic dissidents. Eighth Chief Directorate focused on communications security and cryptography, ensuring that Soviet communications were secure from foreign interception and that KGB operations remained secret. Domestic operations within the Soviet Union. The KGB was a key instrument of state control. It was responsible for monitoring and suppressing political dissent, arresting and interrogating suspected enemies of the state, and maintaining extensive networks of informants. The KGB played a central role in enforcing the policies of the Communist Party and ensuring that opposition to the Soviet regime was ruthlessly crushed. The KGB's domestic activities included the persecution of political dissidents, religious groups, and ethnic minorities. Notable operations included the suppression of the Prague Spring in 1968, where the KGB helped the Soviet military intervene in Czechoslovakia to crush a movement for political liberalization. Foreign operations and espionage. On the international stage, the KGB was involved in espionage, influencing foreign governments, and conducting covert operations to further Soviet interests during the Cold War. KGB agents infiltrated Western governments, military organizations, and intelligence agencies, gathering valuable information and sometimes influencing policy decisions. One of the most famous KGB operations was the recruitment of the Cambridge Five, a group of British intelligence officers who spied for the Soviet Union. The KGB also supported revolutionary movements and communist parties around the world, including in Latin America, Africa, and Asia. The KGB's foreign operations extended to assassination plots, disinformation campaigns, and efforts to destabilize governments deemed hostile to the Soviet Union. The KGB was highly effective in some of these operations, contributing to the Soviet Union's ability to compete with the United States and its allies during the Cold War. The KGB's role in the collapse of the Soviet Union. Despite its power, the KGB was unable to prevent the eventual collapse of the Soviet Union. By the 1980s, economic stagnation, political corruption, and the growing discontent among Soviet citizens weakened the state's control. The KGB itself became divided, with some elements supporting reform while others remained loyal to the old order. In 1991, a group of hardline KGB officials participated in the August coup, an attempt to overthrow Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev and halt his reforms. The coup failed, leading to the discrediting of the KGB, and hastening the dissolution of the Soviet Union later that year. Legacy and successor agencies. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the KGB was disbanded on December 3, 1991. However, its legacy and functions were carried on by successor agencies in the newly formed Russian Federation. The most prominent of these is the FSB, Federal Security Service, which is responsible for domestic security and counterintelligence, and the SVR, Foreign Intelligence Service, which handles foreign espionage. The influence of the KGB's methods and mentality continues to be felt in Russia, particularly under the leadership of Vladimir Putin, who himself was a KGB officer before entering politics. The KGB remains a symbol of the Soviet Union's authoritarianism, secrecy, and global ambitions, and its history continues to be studied as a key element of the Cold War era.